you briefly about the 20s, Tony. Like, what do you think of the situation where Adam Hogan can't play in an under-20 final?
Just is absolutely crazy. Well, I hear fellas going on about things like other things about the games being on this GA Go or not being on live. That to me is more important than any other that rubbish they're talking about. You know, that we have an under-20 lad that can go out and play at his own level. Cathal O'Neill, you could say, maybe not playing for Limerick last year, could have cost Limerick the All-Ireland and himself an All-Ireland under-20 medal. You know, maybe that's unfair in Kilkenny, but he'd be worth more than a point anyway if he was playing for Limerick, you know what I mean? And he wasn't allowed to play. I think it's the most ridiculous rule that was ever brought out. What's wrong with a lad playing in 7 days or 4 or 5 days? Young lads at 20 years of age, under 20. Adam Hogan will probably never get a chance again to win a Munster under 20 medal. You know what I mean? He can do it. He'll be down there tonight, maybe looking at it. He can play. It's crazy. I think it's crazy. I think they'll have to look at that. They'll have to re-look at it. You know what I mean? What do you think of it yourself?
Ridiculous.
Madness.
Isn't it? You know what I mean? You know, like he'd be your leading player, wouldn't he? You know, a senior player like under 20, you know, he'd coming off the senior team, he'd give the whole thing a lift. You know what
Tony,
I mean?
you're punishing your best players. I don't get it. You're punishing your best players. Like, in what other sport do you punish the best players for being good enough?
I don't see anyone being punished for and it's all this burnout and things like that. That's the greatest load of rubbish of all time. What burnout? Look, you'll have fellas playing now, you know, from now until July. They'll go with their clubs then. They're then maybe into the Fitzgibbon, right? And they'll be playing all year round, won't they? You know what I mean? They'll be full. Adam Hogan could be playing all year round now, and he still can't play under 20 with his county.
And
you know, it's the same with Downey. Sorry?
No, I was going to say, and because it doesn't apply to the lower tiers, Charlie Mitchell of Offaly, he can technically play the Leinster under-20 final and the Joe McDonagh final on the same day next week.
That's crazy. That's crazy altogether. You know and you know he should be allowed to play, but sure, Adam Hogan should be allowed to play as well. If she's, what's the difference like? You know, they're still only 20 years of age. You know, I'm sure Adam Hogan would love to be in the Gaelic rounds tonight playing for Clare in an under-20 final against Cork. I'm sure, and everyone in Clare would love him to be there as well, and so would his teammates. You know, it's just, I mean, I think Ben O'Connor was completely against it there as well with Cork. I think his own Downey, he can't play either, I think. You know, it's crazy stuff. Absolutely crazy stuff. And who brought in this rule and who allowed it to be brought in is my big worry, you know. These things should be stopped. And if they're not stopped, they should get rid of them for next year. You know what I mean? It's the same as I was saying to you there about a young fella of 17, a county minor. He couldn't play senior for his club. No, that's ridiculous. I had that down in Kilmallock with Shane O'Brien. He was underage to play senior. I mean, often had the fella been overage, but the fella been underage to play. You know what I mean? It's crazy. He couldn't play senior. He couldn't be on the Kilmallock senior team when he was playing minor. When he was
probably bigger than half the seniors.
He was bigger than most of them. He was 6'2" and 14.5 stone. You know what I mean? So
I'll tell you a good one, Tony. Wexford have brought in a rule this year. Wexford have gone back to under 18 at club level. So because they've gone back to under 18 at club level, some of the best players that will be playing a Leinster under 20 final on Wednesday night cannot play senior club for their club basically because they've gone back to under 18. So like that, like it's grand. The bigger clubs will be fine. Some of the smaller clubs will be absolutely crippled. That's enough. I just don't know who do they talk to people or they talk to club people and realise the effects that they're going to have. I just think it's bonkers, really.
Well, there's no talking, Michael. There's no talking. Just the rule is brought in, put it in there, push it through, and that's it. And we don't worry about managers. We don't worry about players. We don't do anything like that because we're the people that's over this, really. You know, you wouldn't get it in Moscow, would you?
Hey, something is ringing a bell. Something is ringing a bell that Ollie Baker was not allowed or denied playing in an under-21 final. Am I wrong now?
That's a different ball game altogether now. Hold on there now. You're opening up there now. We were in an All-Ireland semi-final the week after, like, you know what I mean? And we were absolutely depending on a few lads. You know, we'd only the 15 now, let's be honest, like, you know, we'd be pushed with 16, you know what I mean? So we couldn't pick up injuries, you know what I mean? So actually that was a decision that was made, and it was made between the managements teams that agreed that, you know, we'd have the players for the senior team because, let's be honest, we weren't in Croke Park in about 80 years, 70 years. So we wanted to go up and do ourselves reasonable justice there as well, you know what I mean? So
the footballers were there 2 years before though, Tony.
They were there in 92, yeah. Yeah, that was good, you know, but it's a different ball game, football, you know what I mean? Football and hurling, two different games, as you well know, you know what I mean? You know, although we have some of the tactics coming into hurling now from football.
Oh, yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think, you know, understood what you're coming at there now, Michael, you know what I mean? But when you're in an All-Ireland semi-final, I think you have to put out your best team, especially if there's 3 or 4 of them. You just can't. You can't lose players, really.
I was having an old poke, Tony, to be honest.
I know you were, of course, yeah, but you're looking. That's why it was nice. Maybe we'd never have got a chance to beat Offaly if we didn't do that.
There you go. There might have been a reason behind my question, you know.
You always get one in there, Michael. You know what I mean? You know? But look, at the end of the day, look, I think it's probably a bit different now. I think it's hugely different now. The fella under 20. I think it was under 21 that time, Michael.
Yeah.
I think under 20 teams now playing that a lad can play in the Munster final because of the rule. You know, there was a rule that's there now that he can play, even if he wants to play. They have this that the under 20 players can play, you know. So I think someone will have to look at that and say, look, hey, let's get rid of that, you know. Let's get rid of it, you know. Now, the one thing they'd want to look at really is the burnout of players that's going to be playing for the full year. I maintain this, and this is my own view on it. I think the club championship should have been first rather than the inter-county. I agree with the split season. I was fully behind it. I think they done it the wrong way around. I think you should be only starting your inter-county. I mean, in All-Ireland, to me, over in July is crazy. It's crazy, like. You should, the All-Ireland should go into September, really. You know, you have top-class hurling. We all want to see top-class hurling, you know. Now you have the All-Ireland be over in July. You know, and you have no hurling inter-county hurling until next February again. You know, I think if they played the club first, played it March, April, May, June, and then
how would you stop, Tony, the county managers running riot and taking players?
The same as you're stopping the under 20 players now from playing. Bring in the rule, and that's it. And they're stopping the under 20 players from playing now. You know,
a little bit more difficult to police.
I know it would be more difficult, but the county boards should be in charge of that, really. Because let's be honest, the county boards are responsible for the team as well. They're responsible for the teams going on the field. So they should stop that. And any manager that's doing it well, he shouldn't be managing the county team then. It's as simple as that. I think it would make more sense to have the club championship March, April, May, maybe June, and have an All-Ireland club championship open. Forget about your provincials.
Yeah.
Right. I would agree with that. Would you agree with that, Shane?
Big time.
Right.
I don't agree in the order of which competition is played, but I agree get rid of the provincials and club.
Yeah, I think the provincials go. You could start your inter-county scene in June, the middle of June, into June. You'll have June, July, August. You could go to the end of September, and then you have your hurling over in September, and it should be finished then, Shane. You know, finish your hurling then, and have your few months off then until next January, February, and things like that. I think that would, to me, that would make more sense anyway. But look, I don't make decisions, but that's what I'd like to see. And I would be still nearly involved at club level if that was the way it was done. Because lads are going training now with clubs in February, and they have no championship match until September. You're playing maybe next November. The year is too long. You know, you're fed up with one another at that stage. You know what I mean? Again, you get to play the championship, you know. So it's way, way too long. I think they'd be better off just to do, as I said, start the club championship first. I know where you come from, Michael, as well. You say county managers would rule the roost to say we have to have our players in training. Make sure they don't have them. Wouldn't they be better off watching the lads playing club matches and see if they have they got material for the county team, and then be training away and hurling away. You know what I mean? You know, look, that's not going to happen anyway. So I'd say they should even give it a trial, maybe for 1 year. Just give it a trial to see how it would work. And a lot of people are giving out about the All-Ireland being too. I mean, we had championship in April, like. You know, the first round of the championship was on in April this year. You know,
you know what's strange, Tony, is when you say, you know, it used to always be, we'll be right come summer. And
yeah,
a lot of teams are out nearly technically before we're even in summer. If you get me,
of course. So Watford are gone. Watford are out now. Do you mean to tell me Watford will be training this week? I doubt it somehow. You know, they've nothing to play for. It's over, and they're gone in May. It's crazy. Like I just feel that it's maybe it'll work. They're getting crowds and things like that, but I think they should at least give it a trial for a year or 2 years and see how it would work. I think they'd work a lot better anyway. But for the club players.
Tony, you've been unreal with your time, but one final question before we let you go. Who's winning Munster?
Well, I hope Clare can win it. And I would like to see, I suppose for the reasons of it being so good last year, I'd love to see a Clare Limerick Munster final again. Nothing against Tip and Cork or anything like that. No,
Tony, you have a load against Tip. Everybody does. Don't say you've nothing against Tip.
No, look, they're good for the sandwiches now, in fairness. I often get no sandwich off from going to the matches and things, they're good that way, I have a good offer. They often invite me for an old game of golf and things like that. Mind you, I have to pay for it. And maybe pay for them as well, Don't you know the Tip crowd now? But anyway, look, at the end of the day, it's open. You have to say Tip have a great chance of being in the Munster final. If Cork get beaten next Sunday, you'll have to say that maybe if Clare and Limerick win next Sunday, you'd have to say it is nearly you'll put your life maybe on a Clare Limerick Munster final again. If that happens, because if Clare win, they will be in the Munster final. It's as simple as that. It's up to Limerick then after that, but Limerick have to beat Tip and Cork, and that's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. Tip will look at they're the least pressurized team, I think, next Sunday playing their game, and sometimes that can be a big help when the pressure isn't at its greatest. You can go out and you can relax and play. Say you still have another game left, and you have the game at home, and you have it against a team that's gone out of the championship. I know Carl won't look at it that way, or I don't think any manager would look at it that way. You have to say, that they're in a good position to be, if not in the Munster final, they're in a great position to be the third team going out of Munster.
Well, Tony, look, brilliant to have you on the show. Hopefully we'll do it all again soon.
Yeah, and lads, what do you do for the day now? Are you working for the day now, or you just go back to bed again? Or do you get up for an hour every day and things like that?
We're up since about 4 a.m. preparing this stuff.
Yeah, you must have wet. Come here, you must have wet the bed if you got up at 4 o'clock.
Oh yes, Tony. Tony, enjoyed the crack. A fitting point to end it on.
Listen to me. I hope we have a good weekend, the hurling lads. And as I say, as long as Clare win, I don't mind about the rest of you, really.
Great stuff, Tony. All the best.
Right on, lad. Best of luck. Take care.
Cheers,
Bye-bye.
Tony.